So, again, here we are, time for tea talk. And today we're talking about now I call it the Cawthorn Roman Camp, that's right, isn't it?
It is, yeah, Cawthorn. Oh, it says Roman Practice Works on the
Oh no, I did see
OS
that.
map.
Yeah, but then I did read something, how it changed its name from, because that's what they thought it was originally, but then they did some more excavation and discovered that it was more of a camp.
A full-fledged camp.
Yeah, because the aerial views I showed, it shows it's how it's such a square area.
Okay.
I think that's where the practice works came from.
Right.
Training grounds, all that in it. Anyway, cheers.
And what always fascinated me when we started walking around here was just how much Roman there is.
Oh, I know, yeah.
The beautiful Wheeldale, and then very renowned garrison in Malton. Not something that had sort of passed my ken before
let's be fair,
this.
we've still never been to.
No, we've still not been to that field where... I mean, they've just had a Roman festival or something, haven't they? But, yeah, so the Roman camp at Cawthorn.
Yeah. I mean, strictly speaking, it's a circular walk from Pickering. Plenty of places to start the walk, really, that involves parking. I mean, there is a big public car park in Pickering on, do we call it the Whitby Road, just on that roundabout just before you go up to Whitby. Mm. But a good place to start is either, I would say, the church as a point of interest, or the castle as another point of interest.
Or indeed the North Yorkshire Moors station.
Yeah, just with parking there. There's no parking. Oh no, there is a.
Well, there is a car park. I don't know if you have to
there
be
is a
going
car
to
park at the bottom of the high street in Pickering, but it's quite small, and I would say that's very busy, because that's where most people, I suggest, that are just going for a bit of a wander around Pickering will park, rather than leaving your car for 4, 5, 6 hours. But anyway,
no, it's
a walk that takes. It's about 12 miles. I mean, the walk we're talking about now, we did in, it's 12 miles, just under 5 hours. I mean, it was an exceptionally hot day.
And it was humid as well, that's...
Yeah. And we'd walked the day before. Mm-hmm. We'd done a good long walk the day before, and that was a hot day. So, but anyway, we enjoyed it. I mean, we'll say we started at the church. I mean, we had a conversation with a chap that was telling us all about the old school, wasn't he, near the old vicarage?
Absolutely. Really
Who
wanted
owned it,
to share.
Who owned it for sale.
Why he sold it, when he, and what he intended to do with it. But that changed because of this. And now the other end was up for sale, and there's no parking. And...
Absolutely. Because I like that building, because it's the old school, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know, when you see the sign that's entrance for the girls, entrance for the boys. But he was saying, because it was a school, of course, there's no access to the rear for your vehicle, is there? Which I suppose nowadays, absolutely, is a big issue. I mean, I think we've mentioned it before, but the church in Pickering is very worth a visit, with its frescoes, as we mentioned. I mean, the King visited. Yeah,
within weeks of.
Yeah, so it was last year.
Correlation,
wasn't it?
I think it was. But yeah, those are. I mean, just it's sort of. Its exterior belies what's within, doesn't it? Really, because you go and think, "Oh my word!" and then. You immediately think, well, but they're original, and they've had a bit of a troubled history. The times they've been painted or concealed because they were too ornate, and it was offending the local squire, and then revealed again, and so that they're a miracle that they've survived, and by dint of having been concealed on and off throughout their history, it has preserved them, and we can really enjoy them, and that's why when you walk in, you think, hang on a minute, are these for real, or is this just a project that the local art schools
do you think anyone could go and not actually notice them?
Easily, I think.
Yeah, I think they could.
There's a point. I mean, I remember saying to myself, I was about 21 until the first time I looked up and looked around, and some people just don't look up to they. But you could if you don't know, and it is a shame, because it's it's amazing. It really is. But yes, that was a good spot for us to start, and it gave us the opportunity to go down the high street, didn't it?
Yeah, which, I mean, Pickering is a market town. The high street is it typical now? I suppose it might be typical of a market town. It's not full of betting. In fact, there isn't a betting shop, but there are a few charity shops, but there are independent shops. I mean, what is it? There's there's a Boots, but it's very small, isn't it?
Yeah, it's literally the pharmacy, that type of affair, isn't it? Serving the community. Yeah, it's not.
But it's mainly independents, which is good.
Yeah.
And for the first time, and I was really pleased about this, we walked onto the platform of the, let me get this right now, the North Yorkshire Moors Heritage Railway.
That's what they like to call themselves, yeah.
It's where obviously the steam trains go from. But the platform, of course, is set out to a period, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's like a portal, isn't it? You walk on.
Yeah.
And the smell, the sound.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You're transformed,
I loved it.
aren't you?
I loved it.
You're taken. Yeah.
Right from the weighbridge for the luggage, they've left the counters there for buying your little paper ticket. Gets punched and stamped. The toilets, all the what do you call it? The tile work, the mosaics on the floor and on the walls.
Yeah, and the smell of gloss paint, because layer upon layer
upon
layer.
The volunteers that were there in all their livery.
Absolutely.
It was just absolutely beautiful.
The grease and the steam and the actual engines.
No, and of course it's full of enthusiasts.
Yes.
Be them train enthusiasts or just people that are genuinely excited about a rail journey, because the rail journey is literally to Whitby and back, isn't it? So, it's not people going to work or anything like that. It is
it's a journey for a journey's sake.
It is, yeah.
It's about the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've done all this. We've not even talked about a walk yet. But anyway, just because it is worth visiting. It really is worth visiting.
And also, there are so many children there now because of the Harry Potter connection as well. It is something for all
plays a big part
ages,
of the train, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's another super spot.
It is. So, we spent a bit longer than we needed to at the train station, but thoroughly enjoyable.
And it was cool in there as well, wasn't it?
It was nicely shaded. And from there, we departed to go, straight in theory, using public footpaths to Cawthorn. So the way that you leave Pickering is, I suppose it's north out of Pickering. And we went past, we went past the trout farm, where there's that huge garden ornament. We think it's a Saracen, don't we? But it's life-size on the back of a horse, looking formidable, looking like he's going into battle or something like that. Yeah.
Shield wielded. Yeah, he's.
But so you go past the trout farm on the left-hand side, still carry on north, and I don't know how far it is. Let's say it's half a mile. You then go over the railway crossing.
At Newbridge.
Is it Newbridge? Do you know? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Newbridge. As I say, it's probably half a mile out of Pickering, and there was a Willys Jeep.
It just looked like a movie set, didn't it? I thought we'd entered the set of Yanks.
Windscreen down. I'm saying it's a Willys Jeep. I mean, if anybody, when people see the video, because we of course video the walk, they might correct me and say it's not actually a Willys Jeep, but let's just say it was a World War II Jeep.
Yeah.
And will not be far off the mark. And of course, when you then follow the public footpath, you actually go through the quarry, which we've walked through half a dozen times, haven't we? And thankfully, because this was a Saturday, it was still not a work day or a production day or whatever you call it. So we didn't have to worry about dodging wagons and things like that. But there's the gates to go through.
It's clearly marked, isn't it, the footpath? The safety of it is brilliant, and yes, you go through the...
because I remember we were following the gates and going exactly on the path, and then we came across that couple that basically was saying, you don't have to do that. They're not working today. And because of the video, we were sticking very much to the paths and using the gates. But we had a good conversation with them, didn't we?
Yes. Well, they were doing very well, weren't they?
They were.
Been up to the rifle range and back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were a good, 25, 30 years older than us. So, they were doing very well.
But it is fascinating, the quarry on the closed days, isn't it? Because there's just all that, the massive machinery, and you can just imagine how it is without having to cope with the dust and the sound and the...
Because I don't think the bits we walk through are still...
I think they're beyond that, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are, but obviously they'll trundled back through all that to get to the weighbridge to get out onto the.
Yeah.
You know, they won't use the back roads, will they?
Because when I was a kid, you know, we had a quarry that wasn't so far away, and I swear to God that we heard the explosion of shattering the face to get the stone out or the product out, the material out. I don't think I hear that now, so I don't know how they do it.
No, I don't.
But anyway, not here for a lesson on how quarries work. But again, I remember when we were walking through and we found that canister on the floor.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was.
Thought it was a charge.
We did. Well, you see, that was the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, just assuming that it's
a spent explosive charge. And then you thought you saw a radioactive sign on it. But there's me kicking it, and obviously we discovered it was just actually a cartridge for a grease gun or something like that. But no, and again, I remember distinctly that you can really feel the heat bouncing off the walls of the quarry.
Because it's that lovely light stone, isn't it? And radiating, because obviously it's taken in the heat now of the summer.
And again, I remember distinctly on my judgment of how hot it is. You've got a judgment of how your boots are doing and how much mileage you've done and how your boots feel because of if they're tight enough. And I know how hot it is by how soon I have to put a bandana on. And I think it was in the quarry I did, and we were easily inside an hour. Mm-hmm. So for me to do that, it must have been baking.
Yeah.
But you go all the way through the quarry.
And like you said, you see the different stages. Obviously, we're going through mainly the bits that are finished now.
Yeah.
And right up on the top, and then the other side is the active
no access.
bit,
Yeah, there's no access. That's on the other side of the road, isn't it?
It is. It's newly acquired. That really, I would say.
And so when we joined the road, I remember as well that we found a secret, a secret stash of damson trees, because I'm always dubious about finding damson trees that are next to a road, because we won't pick brambles, will we?
No.
That are close to a road.
Really
but
close.
It's a very quiet road, and there was plenty of trees, damson trees. So we might have to have a trip up there.
So we see these. We've done this with the bilberries, and then we forget where they actually are.
I think we could go back for the bilberries. I think we could have a foraging day, bilberries and damsons. Okay. I think that'd be a cracking day.
Fair enough.
From there, we carry on through, staying on the footpath, still going north at this stage, and we go through that field. The field you enter, cross over the road, go over a stile, and then there's a bit of a down into the dell of the field and back up onto the other side. And in the past, when we've done it in the winter, it's been incredibly boggy, because where the cows gather, you can believe it's up to their knees, can't you?
I can.
But the interesting thing was, in the winter, of course, so it's boggy and wet, and
when you sink down,
But in the summer, and on this particular day when it was baked hard, well, the crevices of where it'd been, absolutely, it was like walking on a.
And with the grass as well, you couldn't always see the crevices, and you really do have to have your wits about you.
So a cow's field or a cow field in the summer when it's baked hard you've got to have your wits about you.
Yeah, definitely.
You really have. And from there we walked, and again the public footpath goes through to us, because again we've done this walk a lot in the winter, just through a field, but it's not. So what I would say is it was two fields, because on one side we had one crop, and on the other side we had two. So if you were holding your hands out and walking, you were touching two different crops.
Only separated by the public footpath. And obviously when we've done it in the past, it's just been drilled, hasn't it? So
we don't see the crops,
idea.
Do
we? Yeah, absolutely. And so that's along the field margins there, isn't it? And it's quite easy to find. It's clearly defined. It's well used.
Yeah. And then we make a turn, which I'm guessing is going a little east. And we went through, instead of going around the border of the field, which was, again, looked treacherous, we walked down a spray line, didn't we?
Yeah,
there was no crop on it, but took a more direct line.
Yeah.
I think when you do that, and again, I think we look like we know what we're doing as walkers. So if a farmer saw us, I'd like to think he just kind of waved rather than gesticulated, get out of the middle of my field. But and we found a bit of blue and white.
We did. It had been turned up. And then you said, "Oh, keep your eyes peeled for Roman coins." So close, so close.
You watch one day. We'll absolutely just kick a sod or a bit of soil, and there it will be glistening.
Well, it's literally just over the road, isn't it? So
over the road. And what do they call it on the detectorist? He doesn't call it a hoard. He calls it purse spill, which I think is a lovely phrase. So it just fell out of someone's pocket, but in Roman times it will have been a purse.
A leather pouch, leather purse.
So you follow through the field, down a very deep track where the tractor wheels have made a heck of a mess, and you hit the road. I don't know what that road is. It goes to Cropton, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Left to Cropton.
Yeah.
And it is a Roman road, isn't it? It's
fairly straight, isn't it?
For the North Yorkshire Moors, it's very, it's fairly straight.
We turned right there with a view that was the furthest north we went. So I'm guessing we'd done 4, 5, maybe 5 and a bit miles to get there.
And we did have a bit of a discussion literally at the gate to the camp.
Yeah, we did.
Whether we would be popping in at this stage.
I think it was the heat. Having walked the day before, it being baking hot, and we'd been before. If we hadn't been before, we would certainly have gone in. But the thing that always strikes me is, again, you can walk past that and not realise that there is a Roman camp there.
That wooden sign is...
it's pointless.
Yeah.
Pointless, I know I've said it before. So we carry along the
bit of road walking there,
heading east now. And we knew which way we were going here, because there are a few options. But we took the option, and all we describe it as is the road down to the big house. And we don't know anything about the house, but it's a fantastic property. And again, we've walked down it, and our memory of it is that we got chased off by of all dogs a Labrador.
A Labrador, it's very
well-trained Labrador,
wasn't it? But he saw us to the boundary, didn't he?
Yeah.
Even though we were on the public road, he stopped at the end of his
job, absolutely, or her job, was to see us off for 300, 400, 500 yards, something like that.
Okay, so we were pursued by a golden lab that time.
Last time,
and what we were pursued by this time? No, you go ahead.
Well, it was an Amazon van. We'll name and shame. It was an Amazon van.
One of the larger ones, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, they're huge nowadays, aren't they?
Yeah, it was a long wheelbase.
Single track road, we'll say Cornwall single track road.
Cornwall sides, as in nowhere to go.
Both door mirrors touching the vegetation
either side, and us on the road.
Correct, and he did slow down, but not so you'd notice.
No.
So
he didn't carry on accelerating.
Yes, okay. So it was hairy, wasn't it?
Literally had to jump and cling on, didn't we, onto the side?
Absolutely, which was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Thankfully, we only had a few more 100 yards to do.
Yeah, we did get a bit of a trot on
we
there.
did.
I said, let's get out of his way now.
And so when we got to the big house,
which
have you got the name of it?
Cook's Grange.
Cook's Grange.
What fascinates me about there is, it's got a lovely sweeping drive, but they've planted some conifers sort of in a zigzag pattern, and it totally obscures the way that they've planted it without it being a big hard hedge.
Okay.
It's a very clever planting, but it's.
So we took a different track up to
Haugh Rigg.
Haugh Rigg, and thankfully, because we passed a load of raspberry.
Yes, it was meant to be for you, that one, wasn't it?
Raspberries. So as I always do, I had a quick sample. I think I can remember saying they needed a bit more sun.
Just a bit, because
they were juicy,
woody,
but they weren't sun ripened.
No, because it was in vegetation, wasn't it? It was, and I think also you then said you needed a little bit of dental floss or something from the seeds. That is the downside of some soft fruits.
Because actually, I do eat them differently when I'm out.
Do you?
Eat those differently, and blackberries. So as not to.
Is this a top tip? Because I just fire it in and.
I kind of eat it at the front of my mouth.
Rather
than at the rear.
It is annoying though, isn't it? If it's pushing between your teeth.
Absolutely. And if you've got hours,
what can
and
you
you haven't taken any dental floss with you, How annoying. Absolutely.
First
Like having a
world
pebble in
problem.
your foot, in your boot, you can sort that.
Isn't it?
So we carried on up there, and then we passed. This was lovely,
Just
wasn't
hang
it?
on. Haven't you got a toothpick in your Swiss Army knife?
Oh, I
You
have.
Yes, there you go.
I have.
So
Crikey, I've never even thought about that.
problem solved.
So we carried along, and it was lovely, wasn't it? We came to, and I think it's pronounced, is it Haugh Rigg? It must be Haugh Rigg, because it's Haugh, it's Haugh Wood, isn't it?
It's a really, really straight road. So it,
Oh, yeah.
You know, I know
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
looking
Arrow
constantly
straight.
for Romanesque business going on here, but yeah, it's of course it is. It's it fed to the camp, didn't it? But it's now just a track.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's a farm
Farm
track
track.
to Haugh
And
Rigg.
obviously people going to the campsite.
Campsite.
But the thing we saw before we actually realised, well, before we even saw the name of the campsite and everything, was that lovely sign. It was a little like A-board, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Outside that had a hand-drawn layout of the campsite
Map
for
of the
this weekend.
Pictures. It said the 19th weekend
Yeah,
of.
so somebody would literally rock up, hands off, which people, as long as you feel confident that you know what you're doing, everyone enjoys hands off, I would have thought.
There's no need, is there?
And the thing that tickled me was it mentioned that one of the picture was the German gentleman. So they obviously couldn't either spell his name or something like that. But it said, look, please be respectful of other people.
Stick to
this
your
is
pitch
where,
and everybody's
Mr. and Mrs.
happy.
Smith are, and Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and Mr. and Mrs. Singh, and
it was
there,
all-
and it was lovely, really lovely.
And then as you walk further along, you see, I think it was the site manager's static and the toilet block and the pot washing area and everything that you needed, but just a field. It was just.
And we're not campers. Hopefully we will be motorhomers, but it just shows you that is literally somebody's paddock. It is no more than that, but people, a change of venue, a change of scenery.
Access to the countryside, walks,
yeah, absolutely.
cycling, whatever.
There was no facilities, like you mentioned. We think there was a toilet block and a shower and
yeah.
pot wash and things
I
like that. But
don't think there was any electrical hookup anywhere, was there?
no, was there not?
I don't think so.
But it's not like there was a kids' adventure playground or a cafe on site. It just showed horses for courses. Some people will absolutely want that. Go to Primrose Valley or something, which I'm sure is beautiful. But there's something for everybody, isn't there? You found I don't think it was a child's little Teletubby
I think
toy
it was from a keyring, wasn't it?
or a dog's toy. Or
A dog's toy.
Oh no, they'd ruin that, wouldn't they?
They'd
That'd last like 2
have his
seconds.
antenna off, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it was probably like you say, a keyring might have been an idea. You even knew which one it was. For me, it was the yellow one.
The yellow one.
But from there, we carry on straight down that Roman road
I do.
through we call it the big field. It's not that it's big; it's that it's surrounded by woods on 3 sides, and it is quite a large field. But you walk straight down the middle of it, and you're going into the wood. You're going to Haugh Wood, aren't you?
Seems to go on forever, and it's arid because it's sandy where we're walking. It's quite a wide
Exposed.
public footpath.
You're thinking there's snipers or something in there?
I don't know. It just feels
the
like
wood.
you're in the.
There are snipers actually, because there is a deer stalking
We found that later.
hide. Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, it's. Did we? What is it? Is it half a mile?
Yeah, it is.
It's
yeah.
a sizable
it's a good
field.
sized field,
It
yeah.
is, and then
Well,
it's into Haugh Wood, isn't it?
It is, and as soon as you enter Haugh Wood on that path, you see a Ministry of Defence warning sign about the rifle range.
The Home Office, yeah.
Is it Home Office?
Yeah,
MOD?
it's
Home Office.
Home
is
Office
it?
approved.
Now
rifle
it does
range
say that
on
it's
Sundays, isn't it?
I was just going to say it's only on Sundays.
Yeah.
And the thing, we've seen them before, but it tickles us, doesn't it, that as you approach from the north, so walking south into the rifle range, you come across we'll call it a sentry hut,
Yes.
which is enclosed on 3 sides. It's the hut that he has at the beginning of Chitty Chitty Bang
The
Bang.
Grandad's off in his push travelling life.
Absolutely. It is a sentry hut,
Yes,
essentially. Very old. Looks like it gets repaired every year. It's got a little shelf
Yeah,
on the
there's
inside.
not an original piece of wood there, is it?
No. Little shelf that falls down that's on a chain. And the interesting thing, and most people would figure this out as we did, is it's only got holes. It's got half a dozen holes size of a, what would you say, jam
Egg
jar
cup
lid,
or
something like that, cut into one side, so that they can see people. They can be in the hut
Sheltered
and look out and see people approaching from the north, and then they can obviously warn the rifle range that people are approaching.
Yeah. Or hold the walkers back,
or hold the walkers back. Yeah, we don't know, do we? We've never been.
Whichever way it is.
That we'll go down and pause or whatever they do. And as I say, I just think it's fascinating. One day, I mean, it would be great to go, but we don't want to stop someone's enjoyment of shooting. I mean, it is a rifle range, isn't it? Because you go down from there, down quite a steep hill. You've got to have your wits about you. I think I remember I stopped eating my sandwich.
Yeah, you have to concentrate.
Because you could really, really have a bad day if you slip on that bit.
It very quickly descends, doesn't it? You can see from the isopods.
But then the part that you hit first is actually where the targets go up. So it's like there's a brick building that looks like a bunker, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's in with this big
and then there's a steep bank with targets that clearly get put out, and some kind of mechanism that with a wheel mechanism, hand geared. So the target goes out and you can wheel it back, and it's got a big bank behind it and things like that. And then when we walked back through, still going south, we hit the first one and we paced them out, didn't we? So there's actually 3 stations at 100 yards
from the target.
So 100, 200, 300.
Yeah.
And at the 300, I don't know what kind of scopes they're using, but seeing something at 300 yards that is the size of a... Do they shoot A5 targets?
Yeah, I just have an image of a rabbit or something cut out in.
I have absolutely no idea how they do that, but fair play to them. And from there we carried on. Now again, missed it, but there clearly is another sentry hut
at
that end.
Yeah.
With the holes in the other side, so that they can see people appearing from the south heading north. But next time we do it, we'll have to keep my eye out for it. And then you're back into the quarry, aren't you?
Yep, going along. This time on the road, really, through there, but that's still the public footpath, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then what we came upon those gargantuan tractors.
Oh, crikey, yeah. Yeah, big bucket. Rock moving. I'll call it rock, I don't know, the aggregate or whatever they call it. But they are absolutely huge, aren't they? Something you see out of mainly you see in America, don't you? Because everything's on such a large scale.
But yeah, they're all just parked up on their weekend off.
Yeah, absolutely. So out of the quarry, back over the railway line. Jeep was still there. And I never enjoy this, but with this bit from where we leave the road to go up through the wood to get to the back of the castle, because there is a road version, because I have no idea where we are in that wood. There's so many different paths. There's cycle paths, there's stumps trying to lay out a path.
There's people, obviously, folk coming down from the housing estate have created a path, so you very easily get out of shape there. And they're doing forestry, so it's very, very churned up as well.
It is.
But I don't think we did badly.
No, but I was very pleased in this instance because we found that plaque where there was that little bit of rock wall.
Yeah, it was like an outcrop, wasn't it?
We found the plaque, didn't we? Pickering's Jurassic Sea, that basically showed us and explained how what we were looking at was, a millennia
previously
more than a millennia, obviously, was under the sea, and there are fossils of Jurassic life, which is fantastic. It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amazing to think things like that, but. I know
we
we're
know
not a
it's
million miles from the coast.
And it is the Vale of Pickering, and it has been
absolutely,
drained over the years, hasn't it? But yeah, And you could see it then, couldn't you? When
Of course
it
you
was
could.
point out, you could see
Of course you could.
the lines.
It's what
in it.
geologists do, isn't it? They look with different eyes and all the rest of
But
it.
as you say, yeah, it was the first time we've seen that in all the times we've been through there, so that was interesting.
It was well worth seeing.
Yeah.
And then obviously just a little short trip round the corner and you come to the back entrance of Pickering Castle, which again, when we got to the top there was parking, and there's no fee to park because there is no.
Oh no!
So it is a
there might be
good
an
out
honesty
of the
box.
way. There might be an honesty
I think
box.
there's loos there as well. I don't know. So yeah, it's a good spot really.
It is a good spot, and
then
that's
it's an English heritage property, isn't it? The castle.
And from there, you could have carried on straight down to back down to the high street.
I mean, we were going to go to the church, weren't we, and go in on the way back, but I think it was so warm. We were ready for.
Well, we'd done. I think we'd done 8 miles the day before.
Yeah.
So
and then that was
again,
was
in
this
similar heat.
12 miles, nearly 5 hours.
Yeah. Topped off by a 7-hour journey in the car.
Yeah.
So
No,
it was
we were
plenty.
ready for.
Yeah.
No?
But no, all in all, we thoroughly enjoyed the walk. We
that
always
one.
enjoy that walk. Next time, we'll go in the camp.
Absolutely.
Great
It's a
stuff.
date.